Let us welcome the seventh speaker. The seventh speaker is Ms. Sarika Jessie Kidd.
Her speech title is Washed Away. Washed Away. So Ms. Kidd, please come up to the stage.
Thank you, Master of Ceremony, honorable judges, and audience. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming here today. 6 a.m. Breaking news. New York, the U.S. Paris, France. Sydney, Australia. Cities underwater. 7 a.m. Disaster alert. Mumbai, India. Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam. Osaka, Japan. Infrastructure paralyzed. 8 a.m. Evacuate. Bangkok, Thailand. Shenzhen, China. Death toll rising. Save your families. Save yourselves. This situation may sound far-fetched, yet it is exactly what scientists have predicted for decades. Flooding throughout the world. According to the International Disaster Database, 60% of people impacted by natural disasters in 2017 were affected by floods. Floods have the highest percentage of occurrence and the greatest number of associated deaths. Take 2017. In Asia, 45 million people were affected. Over 1,000 lost their lives. A study published in 2018 by the World Bank found that climate change is affecting more than 800 million people living in South Asia, and this situation will only get worse. Satellite measurements show that over the past century, sea levels have increased up to 20 centimeters. Now, when the sea level rises by 20 centimeters, the shoreline can come in by up to 100 meters. This is significant given that many of the world's largest cities are located on coastlines. Over 145 million people live less than 1 meter above sea level. Dr. Strauss, president at Climate Central, warns that sea level rise is 50% faster than 20 years ago. Floods occur more often, cause more destruction, and render affected areas uninhabitable. Salt water contaminates groundwater, drinking water, and increases soil salinity. Farming is becoming virtually impossible. Climate refugees are increasing globally. So why are sea levels rising? The cause is climate change, changes in temperature, precipitation, winds, and more. Many factors influence the Earth's climate, such as shifts in the sun's intensity, volcanic eruptions, and heat-trapping gases in the atmosphere. Climate change is a natural phenomenon. So why should we worry? The problem is that Earth's surface has undergone unprecedented warming over the past century. The 7 hottest years on record have all occurred since 2010. Remember last summer? In Japan, we experienced record temperatures. Declared a natural disaster, over 150 people died and thousands were hospitalized. In my hometown, Utsunomiya, I enjoy going to the pool with my friends in the summer. Last year, it was closed. A sign outside read, "The pool is closed for safety. The water temperature is dangerously high." Well, what's causing today's warming? Us. We like comfort, and comfort requires energy. Much of this energy comes from burning fossil fuels. The more fuels burnt, the more CO2 released. As the oceans warm, seawater expands. Each drop of water only expands by a little, but when you multiply this expansion over the entire ocean, it adds up. Global warming has accelerated the melting of glaciers, polar ice caps, and ice sheets, lifting high tides even higher. Flooding affects the livelihoods of people throughout the world. It is ironic that in many cases, people who leave the smallest carbon footprint are being displaced because of climate change caused by industrialized nations. Take, for example, Kiribati. Located south of Hawaii, Kiribati has a population of approximately 100,000. Picture this, an island paradise. Lazy coconut trees lining the shore, native pokiko birds singing in their nests, waves gently breaking over golden sand. Now imagine Kiribati, the kiss of the Pacific, gone forever. A drowning paradise. When high school students in Japan talk about the future, we see things like, I want to go to university, I want to travel, I want to be successful. Kirita Moot, a high school girl from Kiribati, when asked about her future, answered, I will be forced to leave and move to another country, and this hurts me deeply. Unable to hide her pain, she continued, it makes me very sad because I love my culture and identity, my friends and school. Kirita must watch as her home and school are submerged. Over 4,000 years of history is being washed away. So, can we stop sea level rise? No. Should we give up? No way. Dealing with rising sea levels is a massive challenge. Former president of Kiribati, Mr. Tong, states, we have got to understand that climate change is not a national issue. It's a global issue, and we need global thinking. At present, 6 countries produce nearly 60% of global CO2 emissions. Please raise your hand if you think that Japan is one of the 6. Yes, unfortunately, you are correct. Just imagine if we, the 130 million people in Japan, joined forces and said, we will make a difference. We will be the difference. So, what can we do? 1, agriculture is a key driver of global warming. Meat, cheese, and eggs produce the highest carbon footprint. A small change in diet can make a big difference to the environment. 2, the food miles required to bring produce to our tables can be easily reduced. Buying Japanese-produced food and manufactured products reduces emissions and helps our economy. 3, reuse and recycle. A high percentage of CO2 emissions result from the provision of goods. This is the extraction of resources, manufacturing, transport, and final disposal. We can buy used products and resell or recycle. And 4, we can vote for politicians who recognize climate change. Politicians who support climate policies. Education and action. Every voice and every action matters. We have the opportunity and responsibility to make real changes. Let's not let this chance be washed away. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kidd.
Thank you.
Now we have a question and answer session. Mr. Hayashi, please.
Okay. So, Sarika, thank you very much for the 2 o'clock news.
Thank
Very
you.
wonderful talk. You could be a wonderful anchor person in the future.
Thank you.
The question, they pay attention to the last part of the paragraph. Education and action. Okay, as a student, Sarika, what would you think about the appropriate education for this problem?
Well, I think in this case, like sea level rise, these kind of issues, there are issues that need to be spread. And so when I say education, I think it happens both in like teaching, like teachers teaching us in class about the situation and how we can like not like try and slow it down, but adapt to the situation, but also educate others by if you know this situation and if you're contributing and reducing your CO2 emissions, if you're conscious of your food miles, for example, just sharing this information is a part of education. And so educating yourself and educating others can lead to actions. And we cannot stop with just education, but it will lead on to action. So that's what I mean.
Thank you. And the next word is action. As a student, what would be the proper action you could take?
So in my case, for example, we can all contribute in reducing our CO2 emissions. I personally started looking into this issue last year, and I was shocked by this situation, and I started being conscious of my own actions and started caring about food miles and all these different things. So definitely one thing is being conscious and also spreading the message. This may not be just personally, but as a nation, I think that there are many things we can do. And for example, I think Saitama has a great idea. So what they did is they created this huge underground chamber. And they did this because many areas in Saitama are below sea level. So they've experienced a lot of flooding caused by sea level rise and a lot of damage. So what they can do with the chamber is they can channel the excess water through the chamber until it reaches a safe area or a river that can handle the volume of water, and they release that water. So I think that other prefectures and other countries can copy this. So maybe students can become more interested in this topic and study environmental engineering or something like that. That'll be amazing.
Thank you. Very charming title, Washed Away. Where's come from?
Well, actually, when I first came across this topic, it was when I was watching a documentary about Kiribati last year. And their country is literally being washed away. A wave can go from one side of the island to the other side. And they are being washed away, and yet they cannot do anything about it, because often those people that are being washed away are the people that are leaving the tiniest carbon footprint. And the shocking thing is that climate refugees aren't recognized under international law. So that's where I got it from. But I think that another thing we can do as a nation, sorry I'm going back, but we can accept climate refugees, and that's where I got the title from.
Okay, thank you. It's used in a negative way and a positive way. As we hear your wonderful speech, all the problems washed away. We have to act more.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hayashi and Ms. Kidd.